What's going on, y'all? My name is Trutha. Got my homie Mike Wise.
Good with you, man.
On the podcast, bro. I'm doing good. Definitely, man. I'm excited for this podcast. We got a lot to chop it up about.
Yeah, it's facts.
But the focus is on you, man. Like, bro, where did you come from? Like, for real, my guy. Like, bro, I feel like you were a hidden gem. You kind of were just floating around like the Christian hip hop scene, releasing music, from Philly. Mm. And then out of nowhere, it's just like, I feel like your face has been like around a lot more places, like Rapzilla, the bar challenges, and all those different things. So we're going to get into all of that. But I'm going to start off by just saying, like, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Mm-hmm. So like you said, man, I'm from Philly, the best city in the world. You know what I mean? So got to say that. Shout out to my people there. But yeah, man, from Philadelphia. Also spent some time in Florida, high school down there. And, I got both of my music styles from there. So it's like the punchlines and everything like that, the grittiness from the Philly. And then I think a little bit of the bounce here and there from the Miami side, spending some time in there, and they kind of collide. You kind of see that and get a feel for that when you listen to my music. So, like, that's really what it's about, man. And as it pertains to, like what you said, like popping up everywhere and everything, man, that's just honestly a testament to you, because once we kind of became cool and started linking up a lot, like one of the things we talked about was consistency. And I think that made a big impact on some things, because I've been more consistent. And there's still ways I can be better and more consistent than I am right now. But I think moving into that direction really helped in the visibility.
No, I can definitely see that. Man, it's been dope to see, because I feel like with that progression, like, people get to kind of see like your full personality. They get to kind of see that, like, that Philly. They get to see some of that. That swag, that competitive edge and things like that. But let me also ask, so before I ask about like your, like, when you became like in the like Christian hip hop space, who were some of like the influences that you were like, that you shaped a lot of your style and like your approach to music?
Yeah, so gotta say Cassidy from Philly, Reed Dollars, you know what I mean, Jay-Z. They were those three mixed with like, Lil Wayne, Drake. These guys are, lyricists, a lot of them. And just really gleaming from their styles and what they do best and how they write and wordplay and punchlines and stuff like that really played an impact on how I write my stuff now. So I think those are the biggest impacts for me, biggest influences in my style and what I enjoy to listen to as well.
Now I got a more controversial one. Who is a Philly artist that people would think that you just like love? Like, yeah, this is my guy. And but in reality, you're like, no, I don't really rock with him like that. Like, that ain't me.
Ambassador.
Wait. You mean to tell me Ambassador from Cross Movement?
Yeah, Ambassador from Cross Movement.
Okay, now break that down.
All right. So
I might get you in trouble. Break that down.
Listen, first of all, respect to all the legends. But I think a lot of times people who are who've been around first get credit as if they were the best. Right? So I think being a pioneer like Ambassador is, he gets credited for the skill set side as it pertains to, like, which is, he's really dope. Yeah. But for me, not necessarily, I guess, pleasing to my ears, I guess. I really love what he does. I really was, and I think the reason why, and I want to get a little bit serious, because the reason why is because when I first became a believer, right, I was given multiple projects, right? I was given the Truth album, I was given the Lecrae album, I was given Trip Lee, I was given Tedashii, I was given the Ambassador, right? And as a young believer, I had no idea what Ambassador was talking about. Like
that,
it was
lyrical theology.
Yeah, and it was so that was my introduction to him as well, and it was so weighty, right? Which is, I'm sure, helpful to some, but that being the introduction to who he is from myself, it was a turnoff, and it wasn't palatable to me at the time, and so therefore I never really enjoyed his music from that point on because of me not being able to relate to it and grasp onto understand what he was talking about. So that's why I was saying. But there's all respect to him, but that's, you know what I mean? Like,
yo, that's respectful though. I mean, I get it. Like, it's respectable. What about on the mainstream side? Like, is there a Philly? Are you like? Is there one? I'm not talking about like newer guys, because there's new guys that come out that are like mad hit or miss. They may be drilled and all that stuff. But like, I'm talking about like from when Philly was, because obviously we know Philly is one of the pioneers of hip hop. But like guys that you just, everybody is from Philly is like, yeah, this is that dude. Like, that you might feel like, nah, I never really connected. Like
at the time, when I was coming up, I wasn't on the Meek Mill wave.
Meek Mill.
Meek Mill was the guy, like, you know, but when they were coming up, when him, Reed Dollars, Joey Jihad, Kaboom, all of them guys was coming up, people obviously liked Meek. I didn't really see what everybody else was seeing at the time. I was more of a Reed Dollars guy, and that's probably because I'm from Southwest, and Reed's from North, but that was like, I want to hear Reed.
So what changed?
I think I started to understand Meek more as he grown in the industry. So like his first album, his first, like I think his Flamers or Flamers 2 around that time. Like Flamers 1, I was like, But initially, because I was listening to his freestyles and stuff. But then when I listened to the project, once I listened to his music, then I started liking his raps. It was weird. With the other guys, I liked their raps, but I didn't necessarily draw towards their music. So it took for me, because at the time when they were battle rapping on YouTube and stuff, it wasn't really songs. So I'm listening to Reed, I'm listening to these guys, and I liked them, wasn't really feeling Meek. But then once I started hearing his songs, I started liking him more on the rap side. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
No, I do. Yes, it's definitely, I think, like, on surface, you're like, dang, you know, Meek technically, if not, I don't even know if it's technical, it's like the, you know, biggest rapper out of Philly, especially like as far as success and like name recognition. Of course, you got like Black Thought, like the actual people that's like, you know, top tier lyricists and things like that. So, but no, I think that makes sense. I think like a guy like Meek Mill is he like a switch up kind of what you expect. But I think he kind of was an acquired taste probably for the type of music that people were listening to, still even in that time. He's not like Cassidy. Like, there's a big difference between him and Cassidy, and then like he got a very unique and like, you know, higher voice and higher energy that he bring, like in that trap lane kind of.
Yeah, and I think he wasn't as lyrical or wordplay as the other artists, so it was hard to really like that in comparison to those guys. But then once you hear his music, you hear why he's that way, and it's like, oh man, this is fire. You know what I mean?
You understand like the approach.
Right. So you can respect it a little bit more.
Man, that's dope. So let's talk about when you became a Christian hip hop artist. So was it that you were rapping already, were already writing and stuff like that, and then you got saved and then started to do Christian raps? Was it kind of like that the process, or were you actually pursuing music, you know, as a secular artist, and then that happened?
Yeah, so I wanted to be a secular artist, and I was making, you know, regular secular music, and
so you had a catalog actually. You had
I had mixtapes out and everything like that.
That's dope.
And then I got saved, and I wasn't going to do music anymore. Like, you know, I know part of me when I got saved, I got really religious. I got really like dogmatic, I guess is the word. And it's like, you know what? Can't rap no more. I'm saved now. You know what I mean? So I kind of put that down and you know, caught myself pursuing God. And as I started growing more and more, like, you know, I started really understanding who he was and who I am in that, he kind of gave me, the Holy Spirit just kind of gave me the inkling to start writing again. So that's what I started doing. Songs started coming to me, and at first I was like rejecting them because it's like, nah, I need to, do it, stay in the right path, right? Jesus, 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 no music, no rap, like, I don't know where that came from, but the songs kept coming, and I just started writing them, and just finally kind of broke away from that dogmatic thinking and that religious mindset and overthinking, so now I was able to go ahead and start writing Christian hip hop.
So do you feel like that was like anyone in the church that actually made you feel that way, or do you feel like it was because you connected a lot of your identity and like just the things you were talking about, and it was so like opposed to like this new understanding you had of God and like this relationship you had with him, that you was like, oh man, I have to cut this off because this isn't glorifying him, and I don't even see how I can flip it to do so.
Yeah, no, I think it was more so me feeling like, I gotta be more mature.
Yeah.
And feeling like I needed to figure out what to do with my life and figure out my purpose and everything like that, but not understanding that music was a part of my purpose.
I got you. I know for me it was I think I wanted to keep rapping, but I didn't think Christian hip hop was good. And that's typically the perspective that most people have. It's like, bro, if I become a Christian rapper, nobody gonna listen to my music.
Right.
And no one did. But the problem, it wasn't because I was a Christian rapper. It was because I wasn't a good Christian rapper. And that's really the distinction. I think that was what really made me not want to like do Christian
rapper. You got like 𝙎𝙐𝘽𝙎, like that should be a thing.
Good CHH for sure.
𝙎𝙐𝘽𝙎.
Yeah, I think that's the distinction that I would make now.
You're on the right road and going in the wrong direction.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And sometimes it's like, when you get off, you get off to turn around. You don't get off to go somewhere completely different. And I think that's the case for some people. They get off and go somewhere completely different, where God is like, hey, you were on the right track, just had to, course correct you and go this way. You're just going in the right direction, on the right road, though. So.
So your original rap name was Microphone. Was that your first and like the one that you had from the jump?
Well, not from a secular artist.
Like from that to even like Christian artists.
Oh no.
Yeah, what's the
my
original
secular artist, man, was too smooth, man.
Too smooth.
It was too smooth. I'm too smooth for y'all dudes. I don't know what I was talking about.
Hey, that's hilarious.
I spelled it with a V, man. I was tripping.
Okay, too smooth.
But then when I got saved and everything, and actually decided to do the rap thing, it became Microphone, and that was just because I wanted to be God's instrument to speak through. You know what I mean? And, so that's where that came from. And I transitioned from Microphone to Mike Wise. I still wanted to keep the mic because I still am an instrument for God to speak through, both. But at the same time, you Google microphone and microphones come up. So I wanted to kind of tap in to where as though people who was interested in what I was doing would actually be able to find me. And so I also feel like, in thinking about it, prayer, asking you guys, and, I came up with Mike Wise because what God is speaking through me to people is wisdom, to understand him and who they are themselves. So
that's true. I love it. So we're going to talk a little bit more about like Christian hip hop. So, I feel like in Christian hip hop, I don't know if some people say that it's always been drama because it's drama always in the church. So a lot of times people will say, oh man, people overblow the drama that happens in like Christian hip hop because it's not unknown. Like the church is full of drama. Christians are, dividing over doctrine. They're over, are you charismatic? Are you reformed? Are you Calvinist? All these different things that the church. Do you speak in tongues? Do you do you believe in prophecy? All these different things or whatever that people, Christians, especially in America, are arguing over and things like that. And so it just kind of floods into Christian hip hop. But what do you think is? You could talk about this from the standpoint of the church, but like specifically like with like Christian hip hop, where do you feel like this drama, let me put it like this public drama, why is so much public drama in Christian hip hop?
Public drama, that's an interesting statement. I think it's because people don't want to have real conversations. They rather subtweet or sneak diss instead of being having a real relationship. That's kind of what it comes down to. And so if you don't have a relationship with somebody, then of course you may not feel the need to or want to have a direct conversation with them. Because I feel like if relationship was there, then it's like, hey, we need to talk.
Right.
Only thing I could say outside of that is immaturity.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
young artists.
a lot of young artists and older artists. That's some spiritual immaturity going around. So that plays a part. And so if we're not growing in God and in Christ and living and walking in the Spirit, then when we get in our feelings, then we're going remove in our feelings, and I think that can happen easily, especially over social media and stuff like that.
So let me ask you this question about disses. Is there really a place for like Christian rappers to be like dissing each other, or like especially like on a song? Like it's one thing to be subtweeting or even like in the comments of IG, or tweeting and things like that, and people mention stuff. But it's a whole nother thing when you're like taking, even if it's a subliminal shot at somebody in the song, it's a completely different thing. But do you feel like there is a place for disses? And do we need more? Or what are your thoughts on that?
I think it depends on where you stand at as a Christian rapper versus a rapper that's Christian.
Okay.
I think as a Christian rapper, then you are priding yourself on making music that's glorifying Christ, right? If you're a rapper that's Christian, then you're just a rapper that you claim Christ, and maybe sometimes you throw in God here and there, but you may just be on some that Christ adjacent type of thing.
Christ adjacent.
And so in the music, right?
Yeah.
But so I think depending on where you fall in that belief, which is kind of weird to me, but wherever you fall in that, I think that's what's going to decide whether it's okay or not. So if my music is just because I like the rap, I love the rap, and I care about it, but it's not really meant to glorify God, maybe here and there and every now and again, then I may feel like it's okay to diss somebody in my songs. But if I'm a Christian rapper and I want to give glory to God in my music, then I understand that as a believer, that my song, this one song, can be going to Belgium or to Indonesia, and this may be the only song that somebody from Africa or whoever that I've never been or never will go to listen to. And if that's the only song that they listen to, do I want that to be a diss track? And so I think if we can answer that question, that will decide whether it's the best, whether it's wise or not to make a diss track. So
I feel you.
That's how I think about it.
It get interesting too, because then you get like artists like 𝙈𝙀𝙈, where Christian fans will be like, oh man, I love when 𝙈𝙀𝙈 goes at those people in the world, when he goes at Jay-Z, when he goes at Macklemore, when he took those shots and he did the response to Joyner Lucas and stuff like that. And, you had a lot. I remember from the start, the Christians loved it, and it just progressively, more and more, you start to see slight pushback. I think with the Joyner Lucas one, a lot of people were saying like, man, 𝙈𝙀𝙈, you misunderstood it. Like did you hear the end of the song? Like it was like it kind of reconciled all the front end of it, the questions and like the reckless stuff he was saying, because it was kind of like him, like I don't know, Joyner Lucas probably isn't a Christian, but it did kind of seem like he came to like an understanding that like, this is the devil's work. It's not God but even though I did the whole song blaming God, it would seem. But I feel like 𝙈𝙀𝙈 missed that. So some people were really having an issue with him, like,
I get that,
making a response to it, because it's like he kind of concluded, that it wasn't God at the end. So some people have different thoughts about.
Well, I don't
like
have no
that.
issues with somebody dissing demonic and satanic activity in any way, shape, or form. Like
I'm with
or we we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities.
But let's put it to people though. Like, let's talk about like if we.
So do you? I guess the question is, do you believe that even though Bizzle was addressing Kanye or Jay-Z or people Joyner Lucas, was he addressing the spirit that they were operating in, or them as people? And I think that's that. I think that's the thought process or the question that would have to be asked. And even in the midst of being wrong.
Yeah. Right.
Because maybe not everyone that's listening to that Joyner Lucas track walks away with the conclusion that even though Joyner may have tried to do that, but I don't know how long the song was, but if it was 4 minutes and you gave God the last 20 seconds, that may have had a more bigger impact on.
And that could have very well been the case.
Right. So I think it depends on.
Bizzle definitely didn't take it that way, so that makes sense. No, that's a very fair pushback. I think to say like if you're not talking about the person like as an individual, I think there's a lot more ground for it. But then it's like some guys are scumbags, and it's like there's some trash dudes out here. Like I don't know, like so it's easy to want to criticize the individuals because they're clearly are those things. But then it's like you could easily deal with the thought process, like with Future. You can say like, okay, I'm not going to criticize him as a human being, but I'm going to state the facts that you are rapping about drugs that literally brought a whole generation up on doing drugs. I think Juice WRLD said that he got into a lot of his use of drugs listening because of Future and what he was saying in songs.
Right.
So you have a whole generation of people coming up off of that, and then you've already sobered up. And as far as what he said, I don't know if that still holds, but there was a point we said he doesn't even do the drugs but he still raps about them as if he did. And so it does get to a point where like on one front, you want to talk about him as the individual, the human being, like what kind of human are you, like that you would still push something that you have identified as not good, and yet other people are negatively influenced by it. But it's just the thought that idea you could criticize.
We do that all the time.
You separate it and say like, hey, humans are flawed, but like I'm not gonna criticize. I'm gonna criticize your idea. I'm gonna criticize your approach, and I'm gonna criticize the impacts. Kind of like so that I actually hear where you're coming from on that, and I think that's fair. So I think there would be a place for Christians to be like that voice, kind of like even like the prophets and scriptures.
And we could do that with other stuff too. Like we could do that with McDonald's. Right? We could do that with that's processed food. We could do that with the way certain companies do business practices and things like that, like, cigarettes, right? We could do that we can run down the list on things that there are people running things or doing things that they may not necessarily do for themselves, but they're willing to make a profit off of it. So it doesn't just tie to music. That's just, churches do it, bro. So
no, that's real. So you got a new EP that's on the way. It's called Faith Talk. So talk to me a little bit about that. So where did you get the name Faith Talk from? And you dropped the song Roadkill. You got Cyrus on it, on the hook, going crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that song and talk to me about the whole idea of Faith Talk.
Yeah, so Faith Talk is, that's obviously the title of the EP, but the reason why is because, like, I feel like I'm going through a season where God is perfecting my faith, and especially during the time of writing that, and creating it, and it was like, that's the key to everything. The key to our walk as a believer is faith.
Yeah.
Like, we can't even be saved without believing. You know what I mean? So it's like because that's one of the most important aspects of our Christian walk. Like, I feel like God has been perfecting me in that, and not just in every area of my life, man, to be honest. So it's like I wanted to kind of capture that, and I feel like that was a season that was not just for myself, but for other people as well. So I wanted to capture that, and I wanted to also, another aspect of why Faith Talk is important, and even the title, is because it's kind of a preachy title. But that's what we need. You know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes we go through these things in Christian hip hop where it kind of wanes. It's like either preachy or not preachy enough, right? And it's like I feel like there needs to be a balance, and I feel like my music captures that, and I feel like this EP captures that. So the faith is the theological, you know, spiritual stuff, and then the talk is the, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure. I like that. So, how many songs?
6 songs.
6 songs.
Yep.
Man, that's dope. Talk to me about Roadkill a little bit. How did that song come together?
Roadkill, man. Cyrus made the beat. Obviously, he killed that joint. That was actually one of the beats we were considering for the TLS mixtape. Was it that one? Yeah, it was.
That's
and
dope.
we was leaning between that, and that was sent to us, and the Fearless. We ended up going with Fearless, right, for the TLS mixtape, and I hit up Cyrus like, yo, boy. What's up with that thing? You know, and I think that was the track. And then from there, you know, it started working. I wrote the first verse and everything, and didn't know what to do with the hook. I asked you to do it. Yeah. You like, no, I ain't doing that. And you was like, man, ask Cyrus, man. And I'm like, yo, I know you making this beat, bro. You do a hook too. And he gladly obliged, and he killed that joint. So that's how that came about, man.
That's an incredible record. I mean, if the album, I'm not getting surprised. But I've heard the EP, so, but I gotta do this just because, you know, y'all ain't heard it. But if the whole EP is anything like that, then man, y'all in for a crazy joint. I'm not even gonna lie. So, what do you feel like you're bringing as an artist to the world with your music? Because a lot of times I think we get caught up in, especially like in Christian hip hop, making music, you know, as the church to the church. But like, do you feel like your music has like the potential to go outside of even like just Christians that enjoy hearing, you know, Christian rap?
Yeah, I feel like it's meant to bridge that gap. I feel like it's meant for the people who are saved and just want to listen to some gritty hip hop, dope punchlines, et cetera, et cetera. But I also think it's for the unbeliever as well, with the style and the approach that I take and the aggression that I have in the music. I think that'll be pleasing to them and entertaining to the people in the world. So I really want to bridge that gap. I think it's for both parties. Yeah. You know, and that's just naturally because of how it seems to be coming forth. You know, but I do think, like, as it pertains to intention, I'm trying to get to a place completely where, you know, whoever is for, you know, whether you a believer or an unbeliever, right? I don't think I should just try to talk to believers, right? Because a lamp in the lamp store, like, down was crazy, right? But I also don't think I should just talk to unbelievers, right? Because as we talked about earlier, like, there's some immaturity in the faith as well. So I believe it's for whoever it's for, and anybody that it can gravitate towards, then that's who it's for. But I think it's more so about the person and where they at in their walk with God, and what God is saying to them in that particular time, whether it's for them or not.
No, I love that, bro. So tell them, what can they find you at?
Oh, man. You can find me at I am Mike Wise on Instagram, Twitter, IG, TikTok. Yo, y'all follow my TikTok. I'm trying to get that joint popping. But, you know, we're gonna be working on that. YouTube, Facebook, all of those things. I am Mike Wise. IAMMICWISE. You can follow that and come talk to me. Let's have dialogue. I love to chat, you know, so hit your boy up.
Glocks loaded at the opponent's armor. Reach. Stop sewing to get a bonus, that's a reach. I was born to meet the moment, so what? Feast. No life, feast. You know what? Feast. Glocks loaded.